going on, Jerome. General Manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah was a eyebrow-raising hire back in 2022, where, all right, so not coming from a football scouting background, the old school, spitting tobacco juice, that guy can play. What's his forward at time? How does his hips look? But coming from a more analytical Wall Street perspective, and Kwesi and his Moneyball perspective, frankly, it's worked sometimes. Sometimes it certainly has not. But overall, the Vikings on pace to make the playoffs this year, a 9-2 record, and one of the most interesting and intriguing teams in the league. And thanks to a large part of Kwesi's offseason moves, as well as Kwesi signing Darnold to replace Kirk Cousins, the maneuvering and drafting of J.J. McCarthy and Diamond Dallas Turner, and then also the in-season moves of quickly moving it to get Cam Robinson, quickly bringing Cam Akers back, as well as bringing a guy like Daniel Jones. Like Kwesi, I'm still not 100% on board with all the moves, but I trust him and the direction of this team and the culture that he and Kevin O'Connell have built. It's really beautiful, man. But of course, everything comes back to the draft. Notably, his first draft in 2022, which maybe not so much. Headline by Lewis Seen, Andrew Booth Jr., Ed Ingram, etc. So, recent events have basically completely kaput the 2022 class. It is what it is. And not even me, the most purple pontificator of positivity, could even spin this one, right? So at 32, also a part of this too, because yes, there was a number of trades involved in division. The Vikings originally had the number 12 overall pick. Did you know that the Vikings could have drafted Kyle Hamilton over Lewis Seen? Yeah. As well as the trades in division, and you could go by a lot of things, like the modern charts, still like the 2022 trades. The old school charts, not so much. But the Vikings passing on Jameson Williams to the Lions, who's kind of hot and cold when he's not throwing a ball at Tyreek Stevenson's face, and the Packers coming up for Christian Watson. The guy has more drops and big plays, so I feel like that's sort of a push. And also the Vikings trading up to the Colts number 42 pick for Andrew Booth Jr. Maybe not so much, right? But overall, yeah, it's kind of rough. So the Vikings moving down from 12 to 32, taking Lewis Seen, defensive MVP from that Georgia national championship defense. And of course, Seen was impacted by a logjam of safety talent, as well as the broken leg in London. It just sort of is what it is. Was waived this at the end of training camp, currently on the Bills practice squad. Andrew Booth Jr., who, health had been an issue. That was his hallmark at Clemson as well. He does have some talent, but it just didn't show here in Minnesota. He was traded, swapped out for Nahshon Wright, another mid-round cornerback who hadn't worked out with the Cowboys. Wright is currently on the Vikings practice squad, and Booth is currently on the Cowboys practice squad. Ed Ingram had been a 2.5-year starter at right guard, was benched recently in favor of Dalton Reisner, so that Brian Osama, who has had some health issues, but flashed a little bit at times, especially his rookie year 2022. But he's been relegated to a backup linebacker, special teams role. It did have that nice little run back the other day, which is good. Then you got Caleb Evans. Evans was probably their best hope to have a decent starter out of this draft, and he started 15 of 17 games last season, but was benched several times by Flores, and just sort of behind the 8 ball, behind all the veterans at cornerback this year. He was waived recently and claimed by the Carolina Panthers. Asezi Otomowo, former Minnesota Golden Gopher, lasted a year here with the Vikings, waived in 2023, currently on the Jaguars roster. They got Ty Chandler, who came into the season as Aaron Jones' backup running back, but he had been clearly demoted to running back 3 with the addition of Cam Akers. Ty's doing some nice things as a kick returner, so can't take that away. Vidarian Lowe was traded to the Patriots and is actually a starter for the Patriots. Caught a touchdown here a couple weeks ago. So he's the most recent guy to score a touchdown on this list, and it was for the Patriots, and he's a tackle. It's funny. Jalen Speedy Naylor. So Speedy has shown some nice, and also some not so nice, right? So 3 straight games start the season, scoring a touchdown when Addison was out with injury, but has had some touchdown drops, and I don't want to say he's inconsistent, but he's a little bit inconsistent. right? But do love the talent, do love the speed, and of course, his relationship with Justin friggin' Jefferson is awesome too, so that's great. And then Nick Muse, your company's computer guy, he's first round talent in terms of funniness. Like, the dude is legitimately funny, but he is currently on the Vikings practice squad, just returned from a stint on injured reserve. Play some good special teams, recover that onside kick against the Niners week 2 with a broken hand, by the way. It's impressive, man. But from soup to nuts, I get it. I fully understand that this was a big nothing burger. You had 10 picks, including 3 day 1 and 2, and it just didn't pan out. Right, and that certainly does happen. But a couple factors here. Yes, this was Kwesi's first draft at the helm of the Vikings, and maybe trying to show off a little bit too much, bucking convention and just making some deals in division, which typically teams don't do. It's just like, maybe there's a little bit of hubris there. Maybe it's like, hey, I'm the smartest guy in the room. Just ask me. Don't know. Also, it is noteworthy that draft is largely with Spielman era scouts. Now, yes, Kwesi does have the final say as the general manager, but that's what's weird about the NFL hiring calendar. So new GM comes in typically January, but most of the draft work had already been done throughout the season, right? Of course, you do have like the Senior Bowl, you do have the Combine, Pro Days, etc. But it's really hard to. It's like turning a big ship. It's really hard to pivot right away and get ready for an April draft with a brand new scouting staff that is behind on the legwork. So typically, new GMs will roll with the existing scouting staff and just sort of make do, and that's what Kwesi did. And the last 2 drafts have been markedly improved in 2023 and 2024, largely with Kwesi hires in place at the scouting level. So it's not an excuse, but it is noteworthy given the dichotomy between that draft and 2023 and 2024. Also, I mean, it is better to admit a mistake and move on versus just having an ego, because I know a lot of people pissed him. I was like, well, Seen's a first-round pick. Booth is a second-round pick. They should be on the field. Yeah, well, what if the other guys are playing better? For Seen, what if Cam Beasley and Josh Metellus and even Theo Jackson on special teams, they're playing better? But Seen should get that job just because he was a first-round pick? No, that's stupid logic. Yeah, and same thing with Booth. It's like, hey, why is Evans a fourth-round pick on the field instead of Booth, who was a second-round pick? Well, Booth should just be on the field because he's a second-round pick, and even though Evans was better? Nah, it's certainly not the case. And it goes with roster spots too. It's like, well, they should stay because we drafted him. A lot of GMs hang on to players way too long because their ego is bruised, and props to Kwesi for admitting a mistake and moving on, right? Because you want the best 53, you want the best 90, you want the best practice squad, you want everything, right? And just because you drafted a guy and the fans are going to make fun of you for having a draft pick bust, doesn't matter, right? Also, the lack of 2022 depth is the reason why the Vikings had to supplement so much in free agency, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Because, I mean, this class was supposed to be the backbone of the Vikings defense. You had 2 corners, you had a safety, linebacker, and, I mean, this was supposed to be a minimum solid depth, ideally a couple starters in there, but it's nada. And, I mean, these guys are only in year 3, and only 5 of them in purple are still on the team, and there's not a single starter amongst them. There's a couple contributors, Naylor as wide receiver 3, and then Chandler as kick returner, and then some backup, but that's really it. I mean, I guess you do have Ryan Wright as a UDFA, but he's not part of the draft class. But yeah, I mean, like I said, as the pontificator of purple positivity, it's really, really hard to spin this one, but it is what it is. I mean, I'm glad that Kwesi has improved. I'm glad that Kwesi's gotten better in terms of the draft process. I love the trades that he's made. I love the free agent signings that he's had. Frankly, the Vikings this year with Darnold and Aaron Jones and Cashman and Kamu and AVG and Gilly and Gernard and whatnot, it might be the best free agent class in NFL history. And he doesn't get enough credit for that. But also, they had to sign so many free agents because the 2022 class was so kaput. But like we've said ad nauseum, it happens. And they moved on, and they're still 9-2, and they have a very solid roster. And hey, just you either win or you learn, and this was definitely a learning experience for the Vikings. But your thoughts are thoughts. The 2022 draft class, let us know your thoughts, our thoughts, comment section. You guys know what to do. Skol, production value.